Sunny Spa is the location for race one of the weekend in Lamborghini Super Trofeo. It's the third weekend of action, and the championship already having delivered plenty of drama. Not only last time out at Monza, but also at Paul Ricard at the start of the season. Now has a really dry circuit and a sunny evening after lots of rain during the course of the day. The first of our two 50-minute races, running a little bit behind because we had a rather large off in the GT3 Superpole contest earlier on, and that delayed things by about 40 minutes or so as cars were retrieved and also barriers were repaired. But a grid full of Lamborghini Huracans is ready to go. We have lost one because Benedetto Strignano had an off in the qualifying session, did the car quite a bit of damage, and sadly is out for the weekend. The rest of the grid, though, is formed pretty much ready to go. 50-minute race, mandatory pit stops between 20 and 30 minutes. 132 seconds is the pit stop time, with an extra 3 if you are driving on your own. This is a very welcome return to Spa, and it's a circuit the championship has been to every year since 2009, the only circuit, indeed, that has a totally unbroken run of visits from Lamborghini Super Trofeo, and it's always a track that gives good racing as well. The man on pole position is Amaury Bonduel, who got 2 pole positions and 2 race wins here last year. That's Jerzy Spinkovic, who lines up on the outside of the front row of the grid. Pole position up against the pit wall on the inside line, and it's a busy grid as well. David Addison is trackside, and Dakota Jane is down on the grid. We can head to the grid right now and catch up with her.
Kai, no better place to start than obviously on the front row of the grid, on pole position. Home track for you, how are you feeling?
Well, yeah, very confident. I mean, home race and 2 Belgium guys in the front, so Amaury did a really good job in qualifying. So hopefully we can continue this in the first race, and of course see what tomorrow brings. Are you
happy to be racing with an absolute superstar like Amaury Bonduel?
Yeah, of course, he helped me a lot already throughout the season, and now to share a car with him is of course amazing. Also with the experience he has, he learns me a lot, so hopefully we can put this into the race.
Good luck. Let's have a quick word with Amaury. Amaury, do you mind if we have a quick word with you? Obviously, here you dominated last year. You had almost a full sweep. I think it was only Michelotto that took 1 fastest lap away from you in the weekend. Are you feeling the same confidence here today?
First of all, thanks to the team for the amazing car during the quali. I did a very good job in Q1. It was not an easy quali, but I make my best. I do my best for the race to make a gap and to let drive K easy. And we will see. I hope we win the race. It's my home race, and I'm very happy to be there with Lamborghini and also in this championship. I like this championship, also this car, and we will see. I hope to see you in the podium.
Good luck. Thank you very much.
Amaury Bonduel then for BDR Competition will go first, and Kay Relats, as you were hearing, will take over. Jerzy Spinkovic on the outside of the front row is a solo driver. The second row is where you find the championship leaders in Pro, Enzo Guarracci and Josef Knopp. It's going to be Enzo Guarracci who goes first, and the grid is complete other than that absent Scuderia Viola Corsa car of Benedetto Strignano after its drama with the barriers earlier on. The grid starting to be cleared. Lots of VIPs. The race director, Alain Adon, keen to try to make up some of the lost time, so trying to rattle through the countdown if possible. You can see the combination of classes, the pros, the pro-ams, the amateurs, and the Lamborghini Cup entrants as well. A very busy day for the fans, and it's not done yet, because even after Super Trofeo action there is more racing to come, because there will be the 24 hours of Spa warm-up and also a GT4 race for the end of the day. So an awful lot going on. Jerzy Spinkovic then is the man on the outside of row 1. Clio Cup racer of years past, great success. Let's hear from him. He's talking to Dakota.
Jerzy, third in the championship in Pro at the moment. I think this is the best qualifying you've had to date. Second year in Super Trofeo. Are you feeling confident about the race today?
Yeah, I think we have a good pace, so we can fight for a good position. Yeah, the best quali so far, so I think it's all good for the race.
Why do you think this track suits you?
I enjoyed this track, of course. It's fun to drive here as always, and yeah.
Any concerns?
Not really. We fixed every problem we had, so now it's okay.
There you've heard from Jerzy. He's feeling pretty calm and cool. Good luck. Thanks.
So the grid starting to be cleared. The safety car has blasted away. It's going to be a rolling start, of course, so the lead car will take them around. That's Holger Harmsen's car. You can see number 90. He's third in Lamborghini Cup, which is for the gentleman racer, if you like, and he's also had a class win in that. The series going, of course, before the end of the year from Spa. It ends at the circuit at Misano for not only the last regional races but also the world final. Prior to that there is Barcelona, and prior to that there is the Nürburgring as well. Enzo Garacci then there starting third on the grid in the Oregon team entry, sharing with Josef Knopp. And on the outside of that row is a car that won at Monza, Paul Levet, sharing with the Malaysian driver Adam Putera. You can see now everybody making their way off the grid. The last engineers stayed with the cars until that 1 minute board is given, at which point the engines are fired up, the doors are closed, and everyone legs it, and then we get ready for the rolling start. 50 minutes then for this first of two Super Trofeo races. And before everybody does dash to the pit lane, we can quickly hear from Renaud Kuppens out of Pro-Am. He is on the 6th row and has got Dakota with him.
Renaud, starting in the middle of the pack, this is a little bit of a dangerous place to start, as you know, with other Super Trofeo races. Now, being from Belgium yourself, tell me a little bit about the weather. It's sunny right now, but the clouds are moving in. Is this going to turn into a wet race?
You know, I'm living at 15 minutes from there. When it's a blue sky, you never know. You never know. I think it will be dry, but for the rest, it's my teammate will start in the middle of the group, and tomorrow I'm happy to start 6th, and we will see. But for the weather, I'm confident to still dry.
What would you prefer, wet or dry?
Yeah, dry.
Okay,
well,
let's see how you go.
Tomorrow, if it's a raining race, I'm really happy.
Good luck. Thank you very much. Let's get off the grid.
And it's going to be Hugo Back who will start in the Boutsen VDS car. Boutsen VDS, a team represented in the CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa as well. So it's dry at the moment, although that was a rather leaden cloud that had been found loitering over the circuit. So there is, as ever at Spa, no guarantee that your crisps aren't going to get soggy before the end of the next hour. So make the most of the sunshine. The grid all good to go. Rolling start as ever for Super Trofeo. Wonderful noise these cars make when they are released. They go blasting down towards La Source. Fans in the big grandstand at Eau Rouge, fans all the way around the circuit, starting to get very busy now. Yesterday we had activity on track. Today more and more races as well as qualifying sessions, and of course people arriving to camp for the weekend to get ready for the support races tomorrow morning, and then the 4:30 start of the 24 hours itself, in which of course Lamborghini has a strong representation with plenty of chances of winning in the categories as well as outright for what will be a maiden victory if it can be achieved. Further back there down on the grid is the car that Anthony Nara shares with Dimitri Enjolbert. They are 5th on the grid and 2nd in Pro-Am in the championship. Not had a win yet because all the Pro-Am wins have gone the way of the black car just out of shot to the left, the car of Stéphane Guérin and Georgi Dimitrov. They were late entries into the championship, but have absolutely mopped up and winning outright, never mind just winning in the class at Monza. It's a great effort. So as the countdown continues then, very shortly the field will be released once we've got the engines all fired and the mechanics have scarpered. There on the other side of the paddock is the old control tower, and that's now a hospitality building rather than a race control building, but it's still a landmark at the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, as also are the old pits, which are now known as the endurance pits. They remain part of the 24-hour pit lane. You link the two together, and as engines start to fire, the 1 minute board is given, and now the grid is being cleared then. So the last of the engineers can only wish their drivers good luck. The marshals wave everybody off the grid, as if they didn't know what to do anyway. And then the Urus, the lead car, will accelerate away on instruction. The race cars will follow, and the two-tone grey and silver car of Amaury Bonduel, last year's champion, is going to start on pole position. He was mighty around here. Bonduel, very, very quick driver. Certainly one to watch. Away goes the Urus then, and that incredibly neat formation of the way the cars have lined up is what the race director wants to be replicated at the rolling start as well. So we await a green flag. That is now shown. The cars accelerate away. Jerzy Spinkovic making that big step from the rather rumbustious world of Renault Clio racing into Lamborghini Super Trofeo last year. He slots into 2nd slot as they go around La Source. And the last few cars accelerate away now. A rather reluctant one is number 8 of Luciano Privitello, and and he gets going without falling to the very back of the grid, so he's going to be okay to retake his place there. If everybody goes past you, then you've got to start at the back. If not everybody gets past you, then you can start where you should have done. Let's look at the grid. Amaury Bonduelle is on pole position with Jerzy Spinkovic for company on row 1. The second row is where you find Enzo Guaracci alongside Paul Levet. Dimitri Engelbert is on the third row of the grid, with Patrick Fraboni alongside, second in the Pro Championship and a race winner this year. Row 4 is where you find the dominant Georgi Dimitrov, with Shota Abkhazova alongside. On row 5, it is Kalle Bergman alongside Silas Rutter. Row 6, Hugo Bach, third in Pro-Am in the Championship, and alongside him soloist Guido Lucetti. The 7th row is Andrei Lewandowski, and another soloist alongside him is Karim Ogier, twice a winner in Lamborghini Cup, second in the Championship. The 8th row, Paolo Bilieri. On the inside, on the outside, a long way back though, is the AM Championship leading car, the triple winning car of Pier Giacomo Randazzo. He will start. Row 9 is Pablo Schum, alongside Holger Harmsen, a winner in Lamborghini Cup, in which he's third in the Championship so far. Row 10, Pietro Parolini, third in AM in the Championship, alongside Alberto Baptista, who's had a Lamborghini Cup win. Row 11, Rodrigue Gion, alongside Gerhard Watzinger. The 12th row, Claude Gosselin, the Championship leader in Lamborghini Cup, alongside Alessio Ruffini. The 13th row, Rosario Messina, and alongside him is the disabled driver Nigel Bai. The 14th row of the grid is where you will find Francesco Turzo, another of the solo drivers, and Alfredo Hernandez Ortega lines up alongside him. The 15th row, Chi Chong Chan, and even though the car was a bit slow getting off the grid, Luciano Privitello for company. And then the 16th and final row, Christian Bortolato for DL Racing, and his teammate Philip Tang to round out the grid. So that is how the 16 rows form up. As I say, we have lost Benedetto Strignano, certainly from race 1, maybe from race 2 as well, after damage sustained in the qualifying session earlier on in the day. A bit of cement dust you can see on the ground there coming out of the Pif Bath is a legacy of an accident earlier on in the day in the 24-hour Super Pole contest. But thankfully it's largely offline. Everybody, of course, with the same car here. The only differentiation is the class is based on driver grading, driver success. The Lamborghini Urus then starts now to back the field up so they can start to get in that 2x2 Noah's Ark formation, ready for the start of the race. Down into first gear dips Amaury Bonduelle, and slowly now making that run up through the Cours Paul Frère. On the right-hand side is the kart circuit that's been busy all day. Amaury Bonduelle getting very close to the back of the Urus and then dabbing the brakes, trying to urge a little bit of warmth through the brakes into the tyres. Jerzy Spinkovic on the outside, been a very good point scorer this year, although he did get tangled up in somebody else's dramas at Monza, which cost him dear. Enzo Guaracci for the Oregon team, a double winner with Josef Knop on the next row of the grid, one to watch as well. And then you've got Paul Levet starting in the VSR car, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing entry, fourth on the grid. So 32 of them making the run now up towards the chicane. The team manager of GT3 Poland and DL Racing both being summoned to race control immediately. So I rather fear that we might have something lurking in the system for an infringement either on the way to the grid or on the grid itself. However, that for the moment can be parked because the race is about to get underway. So Amaury Bonduelle on pole position then, with him at the front of the grid, Jerzy Spinkovic. The lead car will get off the racetrack and then we will be good to go. You can't overtake until you get to the line. They've got to be in that two very orderly line formation. The race director very keen to instill that into the drivers. So if you're either side of where you need to be, to the left or the right, penalties may well come. So here they come out of the chicane. They will make the way up towards the start line, which is a little bit further up the Formula One pit straight. You can see one or two of them a little bit scrappy, out of sequence further back, but now they accelerate away, and one or two dive straight away to the pit wall, and Georgi Dimitrov in the black car was one of those, and there's contact. Look straight away, Abkhazova is in the middle of all of that. His is the blue car that spins. There's drama at the first corner as well, which takes Bonduelle out of the race. The Lippert car as well is involved there. You can see number 44, so out of the race as well is Kalle Bergman. Now he was on the 5th row of the grid, so So safety car deployed straight away. Kalle Bergerman from a long, long way back had come storming up the inside, and the safety car is called straight away with Mayhem having broken out at the first corner. And Amaury Bonduelle is not going to have as successful a visit to Spa this year as last. Trofeo's car was one that got tipped and came across the racetrack. Anthony Naira, I think, was, Dimitri Angelbert there in the car that he shares with Anthony Naira is another one. He's okay. The marshal checks on him and then, having got a nod, rushes off to check on Trofeo. And you can see the damage to Abkazova's car. Look at the back of it. I suspect the race director is going to bring the field through the pit lane here because of the amount of damage on the pit straight. Number 44, then, Kalle Bergerman is another one that we've lost from the race. And we know about Amaury Bonduelle because he was off into the gravel at the first corner as well. So, out of all of this, Jesse Spinkovic is the race leader. That is a very disgruntled Bonduelle, and understandably so, because he was clear. He turned into the corner as the race leader and suddenly got harpooned by Kalle Bergerman, as I say, up from the 5th row of the grid. So we'll need to have a look at a replay to work out how he'd become quite so elevated in the order. But maybe that was because he was avoiding one accident and then got caught up in another. Jesse Spinkovic is no longer the leader. Enzo Guaracci has found himself up front, ahead of Georgi Dimitrov by the look of it. Spinkovic is 3rd. And then in 4th place, I would offer you Paul Levette in the white car, the VSR entry, as they come down towards Pouin. Right, the incident is under investigation. Have a look. The black car, first of all, of Dimitrov goes one side, and Abkazova tries to go for a gap. 3 into 1 doesn't go. He gets spat across the road. And Bergerman was out of control. That's why he hit the leader, because he'd already been crunched into and forced against the pit wall. So Kalle Bergerman was completely a passenger after all of that. And the really innocent victim was indeed Amaury Bonduelle. Here it is from another angle. So there's the contact that fires Abkazova towards the wall, and Bergerman was innocent out of all of that, but at this point the car is broken, it won't slow down, he's got nowhere to go except into Bonduelle. Scary moment therefore for Bergerman, and also for Bonduelle as he has a big whack over his shoulder. Abkazova's car spins across the road. Here it is, big impact, off goes Bonduelle into the gravel trap, out of the race. Dimitri Angelbert's red and black car broken in the background, yellow flags busily waving. And in fairness to the rest, that could have been a lot worse, actually. There could have been more cars being tripped up in that. The gravel trap doing its job, stopping Bonduelle before he got to the barrier. So this is how Amaury Bonduelle saw it all. He accelerates away, goes up through the gears, and takes the line for the corner. All is good from 4th to 3rd to 2nd. Turns in, a massive impact. Enough to fire his hands off the steering wheel, and then the car spins into the gravel, and Amaury Bonduelle tries to work out where he is straight away. You can see how quickly the safety car was called because it was there on the in-car marshalling display within seconds of the impact. So Trofeo's broken car is being retrieved. The safety car has been deployed, and as predicted, the field being brought through the pit lane. Alain Adon, the race director, very experienced race official, knowing exactly what to do. So this means that the cars don't have to go through the incident zone. They don't risk driving over any debris. It means that the marshals and the track workers have clear space without fear of race cars coming past them. So it just makes for a safer environment all round. So good thinking as the car there of Trofeo is retrieved. So the incident between him, Angelbert, Bergerman and Bonduelle under investigation. But some very grumpy teams with some damage to sort out before Super Trofeo races again tomorrow. So a long first lap. That took something like 3.5 minutes, give or take. The field working through both pit lanes. So now they come out of La Source, down the endurance pits. Field cycling through. Number 4 goes by, which is the car of Claude Gosselin. Many of the drivers that we have in Super Trofeo, certainly in AM and Lamborghini Cup regulars, they find a really happy home to come and race with great cars, great circuits, great hospitality, great organisation. Trofeo, although he's not having a happy race here, has been a stalwart for many years. And the Leipert team engineer there overseeing the recovery of the car of Kalle Bergerman. So the field now climbing uphill. And another one straggling, that was Philip Tang, I think, coming down the pit lane, the DL racing car. Trofeo is under investigation for causing a collision. So yeah, he did sort of go for a gap that may not necessarily have been Huracan width, but the stewards will have a look. In the meantime, race control are rather busy keeping an eye on this. Have a look at the blue car. Abkazova comes across the road, and yes, squeezes across. You can see the broken suspension is there already, and as he spins across the track, he was lucky not to get collected by anybody else. Bergman goes into the side of Bonduel, and having been biffed into the pit wall, Dimitri Angelbert's car is out of the race as well. But with Abkhazova coming across the front of the pack, that could have involved more cars than it did. A very broken car for Kalle Bergman. There, number 32 turns through the corner, which is the Paolo Biglieri-driven Autosport Racing service car. Safety car remaining on track, of course, for now. So the drivers come through the pit lane, they rejoin the circuit and make that run then up through Radion, Les Combes, and this part of the racetrack, which is the looping right-hander at Bruxelles. That's Holger Harmsen going through in number 90. He's been a winner already this year in the Lamborghini Cup. Holger Harmsen, another stalwart, having come from Ferrari into Lamborghini, and has stayed the course, enjoying his racing here. Through Pouhon, the field now turns. 50-minute race, and the clock, of course, ticks on down while we're under control conditions like this. So a bit of weaving going on to generate the warmth in the tyres, ready for the resumption of the race. There you can see in the background one of the other Oregon team entries, which is one of the prolific teams in Super Trofeo, and there are the Oregon engineers as well, keeping tabs on what's going on through the live timing. So the field now coming up through the Cours Paul Frere, and then that run again on to the approach to Blanchimont. Now, while we have the interruption to the race, let's see if we can hear from a rather unhappy Amaury Bonduel. Dakota, rather bravely, has gone in his direction.
Amaury, not an ideal way to start a race. I know this was a one-off for you, but what happened in your opinion?
I don't see the start, but I see on the mirror it was a lot of incident behind. I saw the car, the Leiper car on the wall. In my head, it was okay. I turned and then it exploded the car. It was a very big impact. I think I'm okay. I have to check myself. But it's a DNF also for tomorrow because the chassis is completely destroyed, but it's the race.
Very sorry. Obviously, I saw you were clutching your neck. Are you all right?
Yes, I have to check in the medical car, but I hope.
Luckily, the Lamborghinis are built quite well, aren't they?
Yes, we will see. Thank you.
Good. Sorry about that.
Strong cars, and Amaury Bonduel with a slightly stiff neck. Very sad to hear that the car, in his opinion at least, he's not going to be out tomorrow, but because there's no championship really to chase, perhaps that will impact slightly on the, not commitment, that's unfair, but the relevance of trying to rebuild it overnight. It's not as though a championship depends on it, so it's a big job for, if you like, relatively little reward. Anyway, teams can work magic, especially if they've had a Belgian beer or two that perks them all up, so we'll see whether the car does make it back out tomorrow. Down the pit lane to complete lap 2 they come. Piotr Abkhazova is, as I say, under investigation for that. So 9 minutes have elapsed, and we've not had a racing lap. We barely had a racing corner because so quickly did the safety car be called that it was a neutralised opening lap. So down the pit lane, the field pours. Many of the team's regulars, Oregon, Leipert has been a stalwart team, VSR, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, DL Racing, Scuderia Villorba Corsa, many back year after year after year. Target Racing is another regular supporter of the championship. There is one of the DL Racing cars. That is Philip Tang's entry, the Hong Kong driver, who raced in the Blancpain GT Series Asia, as it was then called. He's also been runner-up this year in the Sepang 12 Hours. So Philip Tang certainly enjoys his GT racing and long-distance racing. Right, back on track they come. So, of course, at this point, the safety car is able to go that little bit faster than it would in the pit lane, and accelerates up towards Les Combes. The drivers, of course, eager to get racing. They're trying to keep all the temperature in the tyres. The incident down at the first corner is still being attended to. Trying to peer into the distance, but I think the bulk of the drama is sorted. And all of this gets us closer, of course, to the pit window. We've got 39 minutes to go 39 3/4 minutes to go, so that's 9 3/4 minutes before a pit window opening. So the cars going through Les Camps. Number 23 is another of the DL Racing cars. That is for Francesco Terzo, who has come into the championship from initially karting and then Italian GT and GT4. These proper GT cars, really, they are serious bits of kit, and Lamborghini Squadra Corsa being able to run not only a good one-make championship here, but also help through this category to kickstart drivers' careers. Quite a few have come into Super Trofeo as young guns, silver-graded drivers, and then been picked up either as factory drivers in the fullness of time or junior program drivers, and their careers being progressed courtesy of Lamborghini, as I say, which has a big representation once again within the 24 hours here this weekend. So this is the piff path, the right left, and then the cars will make that run down towards the first part of Stavolo, or campus as it is called, the corner that goes past the college, over the tunnel. Then you go right into the Cours Paul Frère, named after the great Belgian journalist racer, who was indeed instrumental in trying to get the RACB to talk to a certain Stéphane Rattel about making what was a failing 24 hours for saloon cars, touring cars, to become a GT race. And with 75 cars on the entry list for this year's CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa, it was a useful conversation to have, and Paul Frère remembered with that corner named after him. Then from Blanchiment up towards the chicane. This part of the circuit has been changed so many times over the years. Many moons ago, it was the bus stop chicane where you went left, right, and then a short straight, and then right, left, and flicked out the other side. And when it was introduced, Gordon Spice, regular touring car winner of the time, was asked by Bob Constanduris, who was writing the Autosport report, what he thought of it. And Gordon Spice said, "It's dreadful, it's like a bus stop," and the name rather stuck. Down the pit lane they come. And this is the end of lap number 3, with Enzo Garacci leading Georgi Dimitrov. Jerzy Spinkovic is 3rd, Paul Lavette is 4th, Hugo Back is 5th, Pietro Perolini is 6th, ahead of Patrick Frabroni, 8th is Paolo Biglieri, 9th is Pablo Schum, and 10th is Adrian Lewandowski. That means that Enzo Garacci is leading Pro, it means that Georgi Dimitrov is leading Pro-Am, it means that in number 61, Pietro Perolini for Oregon is leading in Pro-Am, and Lamborghini Cup is Adalberto Baptista in 11th place. So the first part of the pit lane is this bit, then you've got the hairpin on the inside of La Source, and then the cars will make their way through the heritage pits, the endurance pits, and back out onto the circuit with that run up the hill. So the safety car still being deployed, still makes them down the pit lane over the original start and finish line is the CrowdStrike gantry there you can see. Proud sponsors of a car in the race and the race itself, with the company's founder George Kurtz, a driver in the 24 hours. So now Enzo Garacci starts to accelerate uphill in number 36, the race leading car. A Carter, Formula 4 racer. He was runner-up in 2023 in the Alpine Europa Cup, was Enzo Garacci, and then switched to Super Trofeo last year. He races not only in the European but also in the North American Championship, does Enzo Garacci, who, despite the rather Italian-sounding name, is French, and he will share the car with Josef Knopp, last year's German GT4 champion, moving from single-seaters to GT4 and then into Super Trofeo this year. So we're about 5.5 minutes off the pit window opening. Now, the pit lane, of course, is being used while we have the safety car on track, but the pit stops are not that far away. Safety car remains on track, and there, everybody trying to share what they can of the race footage somewhere around Spa. So we've lost Amaury Monduel, the man on pole, who led to the first corner before he got wiped out. We've lost Dimitri Angelbert, we've lost Shota Abkhazova, and we have lost Kalle Bergman. And those are the 4 that all got tangled up from the start line to La Source And when the lights go out atop the safety car, that is the sign that we're going to be able to go racing. There is Mons Tallinn, the co-driver of Kalle Bergman. Enzo Garacci, though, race leader. Josef Knop, his co-driver, is with Dakota.
Joseph, obviously an unfortunate way to start the race, but actually it's worked out quite well for you because Enzo's now leading.
Yeah, I hope we just keep it, and that's the main goal for now.
So restarts this year have been quite good for you. Are you feeling confident that Enzo's in the car now, that we're going to have a restart?
Yeah, for sure. He is one of the best drivers on the grid, so no doubt about it. He is good, and I think he could manage quite well. We will see.
We saw obviously that this year pit stops have been absolutely crucial. You're going to share any strategy with me? Obviously, Jersey behind you. He's going to probably be coming in whenever he likes. Dimitrov is definitely going to be staying out for as long as possible because he's the pro in the car. So when are you coming in?
That's our secret.
I'm not going to tell anyone.
Only to.
And such a secret is it that somehow Josef Knop has managed to silence Dakota in full flow. So we'll have to wait and see. Right now, we're 3 minutes and 40 seconds off the pit lane opening, and the fact that the cars are not having to go through the pit lane this time is good news, because it means that the incident zone should be pretty much clear. So now they can have one run round La Source and at a proper speed as well, look, just to see what the corner is like once again. So I'm pretty confident that we might well be able to get the race back underway at the end of this lap. So Garacci leading. He will relay the man you've just been hearing from, Josef Knop. Don't worry too much about much of that sand on the road. That was from an earlier incident from the McLaren race, which feels like hours ago now. It's been a busy circuit, though, busy day, of course, as ever. The fan-friendly CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa. Up the hill goes there, Paul Levet in fourth place. You go back behind him, you've got number 61 out of the Oregon stable of Pietro Perolini. Safety car in this lap. So they weave around up to Lecon, warmth into the tyres, pressures back up, and the safety car can control the pace. So the instruction will come from race control, come in this time and you can go faster, and that enables everybody else behind to have perhaps a safer restart, not being on cold rubber. The Super Trofeo cars run on Hankook tyres for the second season in a row, and they're dropping down to Bruxelles. So we've got 32 minutes and change on the clock out of the 50 that we started with. And the field comes downhill on now lap 5. There is Pietro Perolini's Oregon team car. Those multicolours of Oregon, they've been so familiar for, what, 2 decades plus, whether it's been in European Touring Car, Alfa Romeo liveries, Renault Clio and Clio V6 colour schemes, Super Trofeo more recently, and the Oregon team. If you look closely on the cars, you'll always find that little piratical logo as well. And Oregon leading outright, as well as leading the AM class in 6th place. There is 32, the car of Paolo Biglieri, who has been sharing this year with Petra Matic, but he's on his own this weekend. Biglieri, former Renault racer, he was driving an FIA GT as long ago as 2003. Then had many years away, but has come back racing in Super Trofeo in the last 2 or 3 seasons, and very much nowadays an AM is Paolo Biglieri, but proof that racing drivers just can't keep away. So the safety car has upped its pace and gone storming towards the pit lane. Now it is up to Enzo Garacci to control the pace, and drivers getting ready in the pit lane. These start drivers have had not very much to do, really, in terms of their stint. At least being a soloist now, it starts to pay dividends, doesn't it? Because you get a bit more race time. But that, I'm afraid, is how the crumbs have fallen, as up now towards the approach to the chicane comes Enzo Garacci. I don't think he's going to be able to time it right so he could pit if he wanted, but those at the back might be able to take a sneaky early pit stop. So Garacci slows the pack, coming through the chicane, ready to try and outfox those behind. The pit window is delayed by 2 minutes as the race gets back underway then. So we're in business. We're back racing, and the delay of 2 minutes effectively allows a racing lap, maybe a little bit more for some of them, before the window is open then. So down towards La Source. This time it's all a lot cleaner than it was at the start of the race, and Enzo Garacci leads. Georgi Dimitrov, the ex-Formula 4 racer, as they power downhill. It's our first proper racing lap, if you like. It's lap 6 of the race, and Garacci now is trying to get away as the cars storm down and then uphill the other side. Great noise they make as they flash past the old pit wall. And although Geraci leads, Georgi Dimitrov now getting a toe and going with him as they make the climb up the hill then. Nose to tail, Dimitrov in the black car, tries to go to the outside. Geraci sticks out his elbows and he makes life tough for Dimitrov, who knows he's not going to go around the outside, but he tries to get back and get the undercut, goes from one side of the road to the other, still can't quite wriggle by. Spinkovic's in the orange and white car, closing in on them as well. Dimitrov has got the pace, so has Spinkovic. It's 3 for the lead as they come down towards Bruxelles. In 4th place, right with them as well, is Paul Levette, who tries the outside line on Spinkovic. That's brave. And in 5th place is Hugo Back in the Boots and VDS car. So all of a sudden they've concertinaed. It's 5 for the lead as they drop towards Speaker's Corner. Coming out the other side of which the race leader Enzo Geraci has just about wriggled clear by a length or so of the charging Georgi Dimitrov behind him. They drop downhill as there you can see a rather smoky 77. Now that does not bode well, I'm afraid, for Alfredo Hernandez Ortega. Another look at that might show whether it's driven over something or whether it's mechanical, but either way, it does not look good. Let's hope he's not putting liquid down on the road as well as Ortega heads now for the pit lane. Very wide, many of them are running, coming out of the pith path, and we've already seen the consequences in the GT3 Superpole session early on, and what happens when you do that. Number 10 out of campus there is Guido Luchetti. Now Luchetti is normally pretty rapid, but he qualified a long way back, so another man to watch as this race goes on. He's not been able to really prove what he's capable of yet. Former Italian F4 racer, drove in both Pro and Pro-Am last year, depending on whether he had a co-driver or not. So Guido Luchetti, one to watch. Here are the leaders, almost nose to tail. It is Geraci ahead of Dimitrov. And the pit window is about 10 seconds away from opening, as again it's going to be the back of the field that might benefit first. Through the chicane they come. There you can see with damage coming up towards the line. The pit window now does open. Patrick Fraboni's car, that got caught up in the skirmishes at the start as well. So Fraboni, with that little bit of bodywork flapping on the left front corner, goes down towards La Source. As around the outside line is Adrian Lewandowski in the Levenpol car, and that is Ortega, who has ground to a halt. There is damage, look, just on that right rear corner, so Ortega may well have got himself involved in an incident. Either way, the car has ground to a halt. The leaders go by, pit window is open, and we have got some takers. Luchetti is in. Also, Pier Giacomo Randazzo is in. That's Luchetti's car. Alessio Ruffini is in, and Chi Chung Chan is in as well. So that's going to shuffle the order. Out of 33 gets Ruffini. In will get Milos Pavlovic. That's a pretty savvy move to get Pavlovic in very early doors, because we know how quick he is. Ortega, we understand, was involved with number 38 of Philip Tang. So contact between the two, and Ortega came off worse. There in 66, the VSR car, Pier Giacomo Randazzo gives way now to Stefan Tribudini. And the leader is getting away, is he not? Enzo Geraci ahead of Georgi Dimitrov. Now Dimitrov leads Pro-Am, so really Geraci is not his fight. This is Ortega limping back to the pit lane, but potentially that is where he is going to stay. Door closes on 66 then. That means that Randazzo is ready to go, or will be. That car will be ready to go. Stefan Tribudini to take it over for the second stint. So Stefan Tribudini behind the wheel, as there, up towards the pith path. Adrian Lewandowski coming under attack. That's the leader, Enzo Geraci, trying to build that lead all the time. It was 0.4 of a second when they started this 7th lap, and I reckon it would have grown a little bit now, looking at the way that he's going. So Enzo Geraci goes out now from the Cours Paul Frère, speed building all the time. And now into Blanchimont, which in the dry is a really fast corner. And with the aero these cars have, they stick to the road. Although that said, Dimitrov has a little bit of a slide mid-corner, so it almost gets away from him. But Georgi Dimitrov able to control that. He really has shone this year in Pro-Am in Super Trofeo. Georgi Dimitrov came into the championship last year. Out of the chicane now towards the timing line, end of lap number 7 for Geraci, leading the way. Anybody else bailing for the pit lane? Not yet. These drivers wringing it out as much as they can in this stint. Battle on there, as you see Biglieri go through in number 32, and Pablo Schum in 88 on the outside. The Lippert car trying to get the undercut, a little bit deep into the corner, and a mistake made by Biglieri. Brake too late, understeered out wide, had to drop it down another gear, and he's lost another place as well now, because there, look, Silas Rutte gets up and past him. So the Danish driver goes by, Silas Rutte gains ground. Didn't qualify that well, but he's now starting to charge through. The start driver in this race, don't forget, is the driver that did the qualifying time as well. Adrian Lewandowski now comes up to have a run at the traffic, and Alberto Baptista is in the pit lane, as there on the outside line there you can see the green and blue car creeping back into the picture. Adrian Lewandowski round the outside of Biglieri, gains the place into Lecombe and gets the car slowed down in time as well. No dramas, turns in, right, left, right again, out the other side. Pit lane pretty busy as Baptista, Gosselin, Privitello, Tang and Ortega are all in. There is going to be a 10-second penalty added for number 38, Philip Tang, for causing a collision. So that will be added at the end of the race. Tang, in fairness, was near the back anyway, but is going to receive the penalty. So Georgi Dimitrov there, dropping back from Garaci, but keeping Jerzy Spinkovic at bay. And Spinkovic always there or thereabouts, regularly scoring points, it seems, in the pro class, but never quite able to score that maiden and rather elusive win. 36 then is Enzo Garaci, race leader. He will get the car to Josef Knopp, and he wants to give it to him with the biggest lead possible, hence he's staying out for that little bit longer. Through they turn. Making the run now down towards Blanchimont once more. That is Spinkovic. And as they blast their way down to the chicane, Jerzy Spinkovic perhaps confident that he's going to be able on the second stint of the race to inherit second place and move ahead of Stefan Guerin. Now bails for the pit lane. So Spinkovic, the first one out of that leading line to come in. And that might be a savvy move as well to get him out of the traffic if he felt he was being held up at all by Dimitrov. Now he's got clear road. That's Pablo Schum coming in as well. So his Lippert car down the pit lane. The German driver Pablo Schum comes into the pit lane, and as he does so, out the other side there goes the Oregon car, and Alberto Baptista rejoining the race. So the order shuffles with a pit stop being 132 seconds or 135 if you're a solo driver, because if you're on your own, you know what the track's like, you know what the car's like, so it just balances things out that little bit more. Up towards Lecombe they turn, and there you can see with that little bit of damage Patrick Fraboni from earlier on. So this is the best of the stoppers so far. Number 10 in the hands of Guido Luchetti. Remember, he came in early. And that's Jerzy Spinkovic in the pit lane. So Spinkovic stays behind the wheel, the clock ticks, and we need to see where he will feed back in relative then to the car here of Guido Luchetti. Well, he's going to stay ahead by the look of it. I know it's a long drive down the pit lane, but he should be able to maintain that place when he comes back out onto the circuit. So that's Luchetti, but of course in some cases the second stint will have a different driver in the cars, and we'll wait and see how their pace reflects their overall final race result. Renaud Kuppens ready to relieve Hugo back. Guido Luchetti still charging on. So number 10, the Target Racing car, coming up towards the chicane with 21.5 minutes to go. 55 now is under investigation. That's the car of Adrian Lewandowski for overtaking outside track limits. Here's Spinkovic crawling down the pit lane. So down to La Source comes Luchetti, and Spinkovic's crawling at the regulation pit lane speed. Now he can accelerate because he's gone over the pit exit line, and now he accelerates uphill, speed building. What he can't do is cross the white line. There's Luchetti, look, coming down the hill on the track, goes through a Rouge, back onto the power, makes the climb up the hill. He's closer than he was before the pit stops to Spinkovic. He's not able to jump ahead of him, but it was quite a big gap before the stops anyway. They're both soloists, so remember they both had to make slightly longer pit stops than the double driver entries would do when they get to their regulation stop. That is Silas Rutte coming down the pit lane, and he will give his car to Anthony Pretorius, the South African. In has come Georgi Dimitrov, look to give way to Stefan Guerin in number 13. So more and more of the pit stops now having to be undertaken because we're not far off the end of the window. If you're not in now, you're going to have to come in on this lap, I would propose, as that game is on. Look, at the inside goes a very brave number 6, which is the car in the hands of Adam Patera now. That puts him ahead of the Oregon entry of Adalberto Baptista, but that is a pro class versus a car from the AM category in the hands of Baptista. Sorry, Lamborghini Cup entry of Baptista. So no real surprise that in the Lapri there, Patera was able to dive through. 55, Lewandowski, no further action, so it's been looked at, and a thumbs up given from race control as Enzo Guaracci continues to lead the way. Right, the final drivers getting ready to jump aboard with just under 20 minutes of the race to go now. There's not much you can do in these pit stops other than change driver. What you can get wrong, though, is the release time. So the pit crew's having to monitor the stopwatch and the driver having to make sure that they go no quicker or no slower to lose time than that pit lane speed limit permits. And then the last thing you want to be doing is short on the pit stop time, because then penalties will come. Josef Knop getting ready then to take over the leading car. Out of that fast left of Blanchimont then comes the race leader. There are drivers having completed their pit stops, cycling back into the race. And Guido Luchetti is on an absolute mission, isn't he? He's much nearer, it feels, to there, Jerzy Spinkovic, than he was before the pit stops. And that has given him sort of renewed speed. More and more of them rejoining, including Stefan Guerin, including the Boots and VDS car, Renault Kuppens at the wheel of it, as Spinkovic comes up the hill. So he's going to stay behind Guerin, but he's got to strike on this lap. There is Spinkovic. The black car ahead of him is Stefan Guerin, who is in now for Georgi Dimitrov. And this gives an opportunity, maybe, for Spinkovic to get right up there. Guido Luchetti is on the lights to say to Renault Kuppens, I want to get past you. And he's not quite able to close in time, is he, to make a move going into Les Combes. So that's Luchetti, and this is the last thing he needs now, being compromised by back markers. So the cars drop down to Bruxelles. Renault Kuppens in number 2, running in 7th spot when he pitted. And now Luchetti wanting to get past the car that runs not in the Pro class, but in Pro-Am. But on track, in fairness, it's a battle for position. They might be in separate classes, but I think after the pit stops, they are now together pretty much in the race order. Check at the end of the lap, because, of course, they've pitted out of sequence. But Luchetti was behind on the road and now has closed that gap. So for position, this fight will be 8th and 9th right now. So Enzo Guaracci, Paul Lavey, Patrick Fraboni have all pitted. That's Josef Knop rejoining. He should be able to hang on to the race lead, as Luchetti is a bit stuck now behind Renault Kuppens. This is for 8th place, remember, and Kuppens, understandably, racing for position, does not want to give way. Through the Cours Paul Frere they come, and here, further up the road, Spinkovic has reeled in Stefan Guerin, so a battle is on here by the look of it. Down the pit lane, ready to rejoin is Josef Knop. As to the outside line goes Spinkovic. This is for position. Round the outside. Is he going to get the job done? Yes, nice move by Jerzy Spinkovic. Moves ahead of Stefan Guerin. So Spinkovic, who's been in the race all the way through, knows the car, knows the track. Stefan Guerin on his outlap loses a place. But for him, he wants to hang on to the lead in the Pro-Am category. That's the important part of all of this for him, as you see there. Number 25, Jerzy Spinkovic coming out of the corner. Accelerates out of La Source. That is Josef Knop. And so the race order is going to be the leading cars coming out of the pit lane versus Spinkovic, who's got the momentum. He's at full race pace. The others are still accelerating. So that is going to be Knop for the race lead. That's Adam Patera in the white car up in the 2nd place, but Spinkovic should get him by Les Combes. So it's going to be Knop versus Spinkovic before long. Look, the orange car through on the inside. Spinkovic's now better placed than he was before the pit window opened, because he's got the black Dimitrov Guerin car behind him. There is Jerzy Spinkovic then. That's Adam Patera. Then you've got Stefan Guerin. Next in the queue is number 9, which was Patrick Fraboni. It is now being hustled along by Giacomo Pedrini. And there is Guido Luchetti, still stuck behind Renault Kuppens. So his race is evaporating rapidly because he can't do anything about the very experienced Belgian driver ahead of him. That's Josef Knop trying to get away now. Behind him, still chasing, is Jerzy Spinkovic. And as the cars now coming towards Pouin once again, A look to the inside line. Kuppens trying to get past the car in the hands of Pedrini. Very wide goes Patera. Very wide indeed goes Guerin. And right now, Giacomo Pedrini in the Target Racing car there is under attack from Renault Kuppens, who is also under attack from Guido Luchetti. And we've got 15 minutes of the race to go. So now we need to look at the sector times of Knop relative to the car behind him, which is that now of Jerzy Spinkovic. Here they come, out of the court, Paul Frere. Speed building once again. Heading into that fast left-hander of Blanchimont goes Spinkovic, and he's on the power now all the way up towards the chicane. Into the braking zone they will come any moment. And Spinkovic needs to bring down that gap while Knop is playing himself in, and that's exactly what he's achieved. He's really good on the brakes into the chicane. We saw it a lap ago when he gained a place. And so now, number 36, Josef Knop, race leader, goes over the timing line. The margin over Jerzy Spinkovic is 0.4 of a second. Hard on the brakes. Into La Source they go. A little bit wider coming out the corner is Knop. This is Spinkovic's chance to go for the race lead. He's got the run down the hill. He's got the place as well. Jerzy Spinkovic looking for a maiden Super Trofeo win. Leads at Spa. Way up the curb into Eau Rouge. Survives the experience. Comes out the other side. And now the unique racing car in the orange and white and black colours not only leads, but has already put a couple of lengths between it and Josef Knop in second place. And I wonder whether Adam Patera, Monza race winner, might be able to get onto his tail before much longer as well. Into Les Combes they come. 13.5 on the clock now. So now working their way out of Les Combes is the battle between Stéphane Guerin, who is in 4th place, Giacomo Pedrini 5th, Renault Kuppens 6th, Guido Luchetti 7th. Ignore Dimitrov's name, Stéphane Guerin took over that car. And so as they turn their way now up through the right-hander of Bruxelles and drop down the hill once again, you've got there the race leaders. Look at the gap that has opened up so rapidly. Spinkovic to Knop. But as yet, Adam Patera, the Malaysian driver there in the white car in 3rd place, has not been able to do very much about those ahead of him. But we're not done yet. That is Giacomo Pedrini now giving a really hard time to Stéphane Guerin, who is still leading in Pro-Am. But Renault Kuppens, 3rd in this battle pack, is his class rival. So Kuppens needs to get past the car of Pedrini to go after Guerin for the class lead. It's a busy, busy battle, this, and you can understand here why Stéphane Guerin is so keen to keep people behind him, because he wants that protection from class rival Kuppens. So Renault Kuppens goes through. Kuppens has got Luchetti behind him. Luchetti is being caught now by Anthony Pretorius. Through Blanchimont they come. This, lap 12, way wide goes Guerin, and that may well now give Giacomo Pedrini a chance to challenge. He is still under attack from Renault Kuppens, as around the outside of Kuppens goes Luchetti, and that's the inside line for the second part of the chicane, and finally he's got his nose in front, and that's bad, bad news for Renault Kuppens, because not only does it drop him further away from his class leading rival, it also puts Pretorius right up alongside him. Heading into the braking zone, down to La Source. Kuppens back on the inside on the attack. Contact, and around goes Luchetti. Kuppens stood on the brakes to try and avoid contact, but it wasn't enough, and Luchetti comes off worse. Around he goes, and that inevitably is going to get looked at. So Renault Kuppens was on the attack, but a little bit too aggressive, maybe. He did, in fairness, try to back out of it and stood on the anchors, but it was too late. As now, look, Knop is in danger of losing his second place to Adam Patera, who is right there behind him as they go into Les Combes. All of this allowing Jerzy Spinkovic to get away. Now, there are penalties coming. One is for Renault Kuppens, and that's for being short on the pit stop by 1 second. And 55, the same penalty, Adrian Lewandowski, a 1 second penalty added post-race for being short on the pit stop. So Kuppens has had a bad lap, penalty in the system, and also a bit of contact, which I fear may come back to haunt him. So down the hill here comes Adam Patera. So a regular in the Malaysian Super Series for a mixture of GT and touring cars. Very wide, he bounces over the curb coming out of Pouhon. But Josef Knop, I think we saw this at Monza, good, but just seems to lack the same sort of pace as Enzo Garacci, and it means that after Garacci's good work, now not only have they lost the lead, but second place might be in jeopardy as well. It's all part of the challenge of double driver racing, of course. Not all going to be at the same speed. So Josef Knop on lap 13 coming up in the traffic now. He's got back markers ahead of him. And the first that he's going to encounter will be Serge Doms. He has taken over from Nigel Bailly. And there is the green-backed car, green-sided car. Serge Doms hopefully will stay to his line and allow the quicker cars to go by down to the chicane. He does indeed, so that means that Knop goes through, Patera goes through, 9.5 minutes are on the clock, and the race leader already coming over the timing line. So Jerzy Spinkovic doing a very, very nice job up front of getting away from the opposition. Battle on for second place, though. Into La Source, to the outside line. There goes Adam Patera, and he looks for the undercut. Tighter line off the corner. This is exactly what Spinkovic did to get the lead and job down straight away. Josef Knop just not getting the power down, not getting the drive out of the corner, anything like as well as the opposition. So now up into second place goes Patera. In the Pro-Am class, it's still Stefan Guerin leading from Renault Kuppens, and now Milos Pavlovic is up into third. But Renault Kuppens being given that 1 second penalty and maybe looked at for this incident early on. Look, he virtually comes to a halt, but he just clips the back of Lucetti's car that goes around, and Lucetti losing a lot of time. He got back into the race, but in 14th place, Guido Lucetti. That's Adam Patera, new second place man, getting away a little bit now from Josef Knop. Could Giacomo Pedrini get third place before the end? 8 minutes on the clock. It's possible, I reckon. He is not that far behind, and given the way that here Knop seems to be losing pace, then a change might well be possible before the very end. Here, coming out of Pouhon, all on his own, is Jerzy Spinkovic. He's been dreaming of a race like this, where not only is he in the lead, but he's on his own. Doesn't have to worry about anybody else around him. He can look after the machinery, look after the hand-cooked rubber. Patera second, Knop third. Actually, Knop's not dropped back quite as much as one might have feared. He's trying to stay with Patera as best he can do. Out of Pif Paf, they come down towards campus, past the college. There, battle on further back, number 4. You can see that's the car of Claude-Yves Gosselin battling with the DL Racing entry of the Hong Kong driver Ka Hing Tse. And Tse tries to fight back on the inside line coming into Bruxelles. Claude-Yves Gosselin goes a little bit deep and the car gets sideways, and Tse back on the inside retakes the place. And Claude-Yves Gosselin, who's been racing for decades, makes a rare slip, and he'll kick himself for that because he knows he should have known better. Formula 3000 racer, FIA GT Chrysler Viper driver Claude-Yves Gosselin, as enthusiastic now as ever about his motor racing. Over the line goes Jerzy Spinkovic. In his second year of Super Trofeo, former front runner and race winner in Clio Cup Europe and the North European Regional Series 2. Next wave of cars over the timing line, including there, coming into La Source through the shot, Anthony Pretorius. Next in the line is Stefan Guerin, who is almost into the clutches of Kuppens. Now, here is the fight going on for the AM third place, where you've got at the moment number 61 of Massimo Giglia ahead of Paolo Biglieri. So the Oregon car is just ahead, is on track for the lead of Pro-Am. Renault Kuppens is all over the back now of Stefan Guerin. Remember that even if he gets ahead, Kuppens has still got to pull out a margin of over a second to be safe for any penalty coming. Stefan Guerin, who took over from Georgi Dimitrov, is under attack as to the inside line. Now goes Renault Kuppens, but he can't make that work. Stefan Guerin rides the curb, and Kuppens again challenges on the inside. He's certainly not afraid to stick his nose in, Renault Kuppens. We saw that earlier on. Pablo Schrum is behind the pair of them as well now, looking for a way by, and that's another distraction for Kuppens. And then there's Milos Pavlovic, look number 33, and he's third in Pro-Am. He wants to get up, and he does get up now with the two ahead of him. Really nice move by Pavlovic coming out of Bruxelles, dives up the inside, and Pablo Schrum powerless to do anything about him. And then you've got the white car of Stefan Tribodini, the AM class leader, also getting up the inside there of Pablo Schrum. So does Schrum have a problem? He's dropped a couple of places in very quick succession here. So coming here up through the right-left of Piff Paff. You can tell that Milos Pavlovic has that car by the scruff of the neck because it's way up the curb. But Renault Coupens not being able to get past, for the moment at least, Stefan Guerin ahead of him. I just wonder whether Pavlovic, with all of his years of racecraft and experience of Lamborghinis, he's going to rather stealth-like get onto the back of Coupens and mug both of them. Renault Coupens is still trying. Look, coming into Blanchimont, Stefan Guerin may not have the outright pace, but he's doing a good job of defending. So he's the cork in the bottle at the minute. He's got them all stacked up behind him as they come out of Blanchimont. 4 minutes and a half, give or take, are on the clock. Coupens on the inside. Pavlovic, look round the outside. He's cleared Coupens. That puts him second in Pro-Am. Really nice move. And Renault Coupens thinks, hang on, where did you come from? Over the line. Now comes Milos Pavlovic. He's up to second in Pro-Am. And he might go for the race lead in class as well on this lap. Coupens tries to fight back on the outside line, but he ain't going to do it there. Wants the undercut coming off the corner. Can't do that either. Tribodini, AM leader, next in the queue in 9th place overall. 4 minutes and change remain in the race as Stefan Guerin powers downhill once more. Milos Pavlovic almost up with him, and I reckon the move for the class lead at Les Combes starts now, coming up Radion, because he's going to try to get a tow. Is that green car of Pavlovic? Here they come, look. He's in the wheel tracks, lights are ablaze, and Stefan Guerin is a sitting duck to Pavlovic. Tribodini doing the same thing to Coupens. Does Pavlovic dive to the inside? He thinks about it, he goes to the outside. No, Guerin defends really well. Coupens losing out to Tribodini around the outside, off the road and back on again. We'll skip Stefan Tribodini, but wisely gives up the place to Coupens for fear of penalty. Pavlovic on the inside, down to Bruxelles. Is he level? Is he level? No, he's not. Slots back in behind. Couldn't quite make that move stick. There's a back marker up the road, getting out of the way just. Slows right down to let the quicker cars go by. It's one of those DL Racing entries. And in fairness to Stefan Guerin, he has done a very good job of defending for much longer than anybody perhaps expected. Certainly, he was able to stave off the challenge of Coupens, and now he's being able to fend off the very, very big attack of Pavlovic. But for how much longer? At the moment, a flying lap is a 2:20. I reckon there's going to be one more lap at the end of this for Spinkovic, the leader. So Pavlovic running out of options as he comes now down through the Piff Paff, gets back onto the power as he comes out the other side of that sequence of corners, and he's right there on the back of Stefan Guerin, challenging for class leadership. So the field powering now onto the Court Paul Frere. The kart track on the right, that's the classification outright. Spinkovic, Patera, Pedrini, Pretorius, Knop has dropped back into 5th place while we've been watching this great battle in Pro-Am. So from the race lead to 5th, not great for Josef Knop, and that pace is going to be looked at by the team. Here is Pavlovic to the outside line for the lead of Pro-Am. Job done very nicely indeed. Yes, Spinkovic, I think, managed to get another lap out of the race as there. Coupens gets up the inside as well. Stefan Guerin just staves him off as they come across the line. So there are 2 minutes to go. Spinkovic is up then on the run to Les Combes. And he's got an advantage of 11 seconds. Mighty gap out of la source here. Coupens to the inside. He still can't crack Guerin. Fascinating the way that Pavlovic has caught and passed both of them and pulled away there. Bit of bodywork lying on the road. But Coupens can't do the same to Stefan Guerin. And then behind them, you've got the AM leader, Stefan Tribodini, who is right with them, and then Pablo Schum, who lost places, but he's hanging onto the back of that battle pack. They make that climb up the hill once again. Race leader is at Bruxelles. 1 minute and 20 seconds on the clock. It's going to be touch and go this. If he was really savvy, Spinkovic could back it off coming through the bus stop, through the chicane, and take the checkered flag this time without fear of another lap. Coupens wants desperately to get past Guerin, but he's got Tribodini right up behind him in the white car. Guerin in the black livery. And Renault Coupens in that traditional VDS colour scheme hangs onto the place, but he can't gain a place, and that's what he really wants. He wants second in Pro-Am. He was fighting for the lead, but as they've both been mugged by Pavlovic, who's driven away out of camera shot there in the green car coming into Pau, so Coupens is stuck third. Coupens, don't forget, has also got a 1 second penalty to add on at the end as well. I don't think it's going to affect his place in class, given that the next Pro-Am car is a long, long way back, if indeed there are any more Pro-Am entries still running. But this has been a really impressive drive by Spinkovic. 23 seconds on the clock. Yes, he back it off. The team will be advised to be on the radio, saying just go slow, just go slow, just go slow. You don't need to do another lap. He comes down towards the chicane now with 13 seconds to go, but I reckon he's going to squeeze another lap out of this, and he does not need to. 8 seconds, 7 seconds. Spinkovic is on target for a race win, but he's going to come up towards the line and go through now. The checkered flag does come out just on time. It was not quite 50 minutes, would you believe? It was 49 minutes, 59.1 seconds. So the flag out fractionally short. But when the flag comes out, so the race at an end, but the flag has gone back in, oh dear. So now we are being told it's the final lap. So a rather confused Spinkovic. He saw a flag, and normally if the flag is waved, that's where you take the result from. However, let's look the other way, largely because we've still got this other battle to resolve, where to the inside line goes the white car of Stéphane Tribodini and goes through to make the move. And that doesn't help him in terms of a class place, because he's a comfortable category leader anyway, but it does now further hobble the efforts of Renaud Coupens, who's really struggled here. He's been right there with Stéphane Guérin, but just couldn't find a way through. And that's a surprise, given how many years of racing Renaud Coupens has in his armoury. And Tribodini now tries to do what Pavlovic did, and that's get past Guérin. Remember, Coupens couldn't make this stick, but Tribodini is already lined up for the inside line, heading into Les Combes, and it looks as though he might be able to do it. He brakes late for the corner, and he makes that look so easy. Renaud Coupens must be thinking, well, why couldn't I do that? He tries again on the inside, coming out of Les Combes. But again, everything Coupens tries, Guérin has an answer to it. Now we've got one or two rather slower cars coming through here, including their number 34. That is the car of Wisniewski. So why do we have cars going slowly? Paolo Biglieri is slowed right down, and so ahead of him has Massimo Ciglia, by the look of it, almost as though they thought the race was over. And seeing that we briefly saw a checkered flag, I wonder whether some drivers were told the flag is out and they backed off, and now there's a bit of a state of confusion. No checkered flag legend came up against anybody's name on the timing screen, so if it did come out, and I think we saw it briefly, it rather quickly went away again. So this confirmed as the last lap, but the story might rumble on after that, as here is Spinkovic coming up towards the chicane for the last time. So a maiden Lamborghini Super Trofeo win for Jerzy Spinkovic. He works his way now up out of the chicane for Unique Racing. The Polish driver Jerzy Spinkovic wins in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe at Spa. Checkered flag showed legitimately this time, and so he missed out by a few tenths last time. This lap certainly makes sure you're over 50 minutes. Second place goes to Adam Patera. Started that car by Paul Levet. Third will go the way here of Giacomo Pedrini. The car started by Patrick Flaboni. And a good fourth from quite a long way back on the grid, in fairness. Anthony Pretorius and Silas Rutter. They were 10th on the grid, and fourth, therefore, is a good result. Honours in Pro-Am to Milos Pavlovic and Alessio Ruffini, ahead of Georgi Dimitrov and Stéphane Guérin, and then Renaud Coupens and Hugo Bach for third place. That after being tapped into a spin earlier is Guido Luchetti, who is on target for 12th place. Over the line he goes. And here, coming up towards the chicane, the final runners within the AM and Lamborghini Cup parts of the race. Oh, and a bit of needle right at the very end as well, as there, 27, crowded out wide, Rodrigue Gillian. He bounces back on track. That was a rather overzealous Massimo Ciglia, I fear. Right, so over the line for a class win is going to be Karim Auger, and that's honours in Lamborghini Cup for Karim Auger from the Privitellios, and then Holger Harmsen. So a busy race all round, still a bit for race control to unpick as the last few cars come over the timing line, including at the back of the queue there, the car of Claude-Yves Gosselin that we saw running wide at Bruxelles earlier on. But a first win, and an overdue win for Jerzy Spinkovic. And Claude-Yves Gosselin ponders what might have been more drama on the last lap here, as into the piff-paff contact, Gerhard Watzinger and Holger Harmsen. Watzinger gets turned around, ends up in the gravel, and does he get out the other side of that? I fear the answer is a resounding no. Yeah, the telehandler is there to hoik the car out of harm's way. So it is a race win for that man, Jerzy Spinkovic. He'll be very, very happy. And as I say, it's been an overdue victory in a sense, because for so long he's been on the cusp of doing it. Finally today, it comes good. Drivers will make their way to the pit lane and then to the podium in due course. Behind Jerzy Spinkovic, the car of Adam Patera and Paul Levet. And then Giacomo Pedrini, Patrick Frabboni's car for third place, Frabboni for Target Racing. So for Unique Racing, into the pits comes a very happy Spinkovic, waving to all. And you can understand the delight in that, because it was not an easy race to win. Had to work hard to get into the lead, having been third early on. But Jerzy Spinkovic comes home victorious then. So the top three in the four classes will be marshalled into position. The lip of the throttle, and Jerzy Spinkovic turns everything off, goes through the process of undoing the belts, undoing all the cables. He'll get out of the car, gloves, hands device, balaclava, helmet, earpieces, everything will be disconnected, and he'll be undressed, in a sense, ready for an interview. The Unique Racing team absolutely delighted with that. As I say, it's been a long time coming, a season and a half of Super Trofeo, but a great result for the Polish driver. And hopefully this is going to be the start of many to further build the reputation of Jerzy Spinkovic within Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe. So more photographs required, more hugs required from the family and from the team. Right, so the hands device will come off, the helmet will come off, the balaclava will come off. And there he is, a happy man, a hot man, but a happy man. Jerzy Spinkovic then goes to put the crash helmet on top of the car. And Dakota Jane is down there to have a word with Jerzy Spinkovic, a rate winner for the first time.
Jerzy, a fantastic job. It was a really, really hard race for you, but you're here on the podium. How are you feeling?
Very happy, of course. It's my first win here in Super Trofeo in overall championship, so yeah, couldn't be better.
And how does it win after a hard battle to the front?
Yeah, it feels amazing. Yeah, of course, big thanks to my team, and the car was amazing, to my sponsors and everyone.
Great championship points as well. Is it going to be the same tomorrow?
Yeah, I hope so.
Dobrze tak, well done, good job.
So well done, Jerzy Spinkovic. He will be on the top step of the pro podium and a first victory in Super Trofeo, as he confirms. So there in super slow-mo, the car coming through the chicane. You can see that slight elevation sort of rises in the middle part of the chicane, coming from the right to the left-handed parts. So Spinkovic then, a very happy man indeed with that class win and an outright win as well. And that confirms victory for Jerzy Spinkovic ahead of Paul Levet and Adam Patera. Patrick Frabboni and Giacomo Pedrini third, from Silas Rutter and Anthony Pretorius, Enzo Garacci and Josef Knopp fifth. Milos Pavlovic, a class-winning sixth, sharing with Alessio Ruffini. Then Stefan Guerin and Georgi Dimitrov. In eighth place, the AM-winning car of Pier Giacomo Randazzo and Stefan Tribodini. And for the Lamborghini Cup win, you go to 17th, where you find Karim Auger. All happy drivers, all discussing their race. Let us find our Pro-Am winners there. Milos Pavlovic and Alessio Ruffini. They're all smiles, and Dakota can join the party in a minute. There she is. They're all yours.
A huge congratulations. Finally, Milos, you're back on the podium on the first step as well for Pro-Am. You guys must be absolutely overwhelmed. Milos, let's start with you.
Yes, after the Monza incident, you know, it was, for me, it was really hard. 3 long weeks to wait for here. I caused an accident, and yeah, to pay back the boys and Alessio with a win, it's something that I really wanted, and thank you so much. So very good. Thank you, team, for the great car. Thank you for everything, and let's see tomorrow what happens.
What about your little boy and your wife? Anything to say to them?
I love you, Matilda. I love you, Matis. See you soon.
Congratulations. That was a mega race. Are you feeling on top of the world?
Finally we won, and it's an amazing sensation. Thanks to Milos, that is incredible. And come on, our first victory in Super Trofeo, so that's great.
Anything you learned for tomorrow?
Yeah. Let's go fast tomorrow.
Bocca Lupo. Congratulations, guys. They're well deserved.
Alessio Ruffini raced in the championship last year, got a third in the World Finals, drove with the Creventic organisation in GT4 with a KTM Crossbow and in the GT Winter Series, so he's done some mileage to come out race ready for this season, and it's paying dividends, as you can see, with a first Super Trofeo win for Milos Pavlovic and Alessio Ruffini as a partnership. Certainly not a first one for Pavlovic. He's been a stalwart winner over the years, but not for a while has he been on the top step. He's had various co-drivers and invests in them, brings them on, ups their pace, but a consequence of that is that they don't always come out as race winners initially. So, for the moment, the Spa-Francorchamps circuit takes a big, deep breath and goes quiet. Let's look at the highlights of that race then, which all began with a big bang as Abkhazova, Enjolbert and Bergman came to grief, and then Bergman got into the leader, Amaury Bonduelle, and absolutely harpooned him at the first corner. It was a long safety car period. Pit window was delayed, and when we finally went racing, there was some very good racing, although Hernandez Ortega had some contact, and then he had this big spin as the tyre let go coming in towards Blanchimont, and it was a chastened Ortega that limped back to the pit lane. Good move by Paul Levesque, getting up on the inside of traffic as he was able to push on. And the race-leading car of Enzo Guaracci pitted to give way to Josef Knop, but Knop fell back fifth. He ended up at the end of the race. Really frustrating stint for him and also for Guaracci, who saw all of his hard work rather unravel. Jerzy Spinkovic was able to jump up into second place after the pit stops and made this really nice move coming out of La Source. A tighter line, got the power down well, and just powered past on the run down the hill. Then Josef Knop was under pressure from Adam Patera, the Malaysian driver, trying to do the same move. Knop went a little bit deep into La Source, opened the door, and guess what? It was a repeat performance. Through on the inside, went Patera this time up into second place. Great battling, though, going on in Pro-Am. The black car of Stefan Garin under attack from Milos Pavlovic and Renaud Kuppens. Pavlovic got ahead of Kuppens coming into the chicane and carried on the good work, eventually to jump up into the lead of the class. But it was an outright win, a first outright win in Super Trofeo for Jerzy Spinkovic and the Unique Racing team. So now the required drivers will being rounded up, ready for the podium ceremonies, of which there are 4, because you get 1 podium per class. That is the top of the hill, that's Bruxelles. So you're looking at the part of the circuit where the cars come towards you and then go into that right-hander. Then they drop downhill and out of Speaker's Corner. This is the part of the circuit that takes you down towards Pouan, and you can see in the distance the chicane and the Formula 1 pit straight. In the championship now, it's a good lead for Knop and Guaracci over Patrick Fraboni and Giacomo Pedrini. After disappointment at Monza, Jerzy Spinkovic now moves up into third. Guido Luchetti fourth. Missing today's race, Benedetto Strignano is next, and Paul Levesque and Adam Patera are just 1 point behind. No points, though, for Mons Tallinn and Kalle Bergman after the accident at turn 1. Another driver going away empty-handed, Kai Rillouts, because having thought he was doing the right thing by bringing in last year's champion Amaury Bonduelle, as we saw that car eliminated at turn 1, and the question is still hovering around as to whether or not it's going to be race ready, reparable for tomorrow, and the feeling is that it is not repairable. So Kai Rillouts with a really disappointing weekend, sadly. Amaury Bonduelle getting the point for pole position, but that's about the lot thus far. So they're on the top of the pit brasserie. The fans getting themselves settled for more action. There's another practice session and another race still to come this evening. Great part of the racetrack. You can look across to Eau Rouge. You can see the cars coming out of the chicane. You can see them coming into the pit lane. And it's a very busy place to go and watch during the 24 hours of Spa. That this time tomorrow will be underway. And the first couple of rounds of pit stops will have taken place. And no doubt lots of drama as well. So there are Giacomo Pedrini, Patrick Fraboni, third in Pro. They're going to be called forward in a moment, up onto the podium here at Spa. And indeed they are called forward. There is Giacomo Pedrini. Patrick Fraboni leaps up. Both of them having come from single-seaters into, in the case of Patrick Fraboni, Lamborghini this year. In the case of Giacomo Pedrini, the Portuguese Supercar Endurance Series and Midjets. There for second place. Up come then the combination of Paul Levert and Adam Putera. And then the race winner, Jerzy Spinkovics, to the podium. A very happy man is Jerzy Spinkovics then, as he takes a first outright win in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe. So well done to our winning drivers as the Polish national anthem sounds for Jerzy Spinkovics. And now the trophies to be presented to the drivers. The third, the second, the winner. Trophy each from Maurizio Lesciuta, the head of motorsports at Squadra Corsa. Jerzy Spinkovics patiently waits for a coveted, well-deserved winner's trophy. And Jerzy Spinkovics will celebrate, no doubt. He's got another race tomorrow. Don't bet against a double, because this isn't a championship in which there are penalties for success in the pits. It's a straight fight again tomorrow. There is the Hankook Trophy as well, being presented by Manfred Sandbichler, the Hankook Tire Europe Motorsport Director. Now, Squadra Corsa's photographers huddle everybody together on that top step for the group photograph of the 5 drivers, soloist Jerzy Spinkovics, and the 2 double driver entries now told to look forward to the fans and the photographers down in the pit lane. And more to come from Super Trofeo tomorrow. Some good racing we've had, that is for sure. And Jerzy Spinkovics taking that first victory in Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Let's see what he can do at 1:25 when we're on air tomorrow for the second race of the weekend. The action continues here at Spa tomorrow in Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe.